Okay, the reason why we're seeing an advance in transhumanism or eschatology, what if they found the cure for dementia and they called it lipotropics? Those are actually a alternative medicine, but it turned out not to be quack science. And it was called lipotropics. Lipo, like lipids. So what happened with Alzheimer and dementia was that the neural pathways, like the neural pathways of children are supported by syntax, which are temporary. They're not as loose and elastic. And when the neural pathways are formed, they break and allow the neural pathways to support those your brain cells, because they were able to take more bouncing around, like stress or being being elastic, and makes it so that you can reform those think abstract or nuance and shit like that, right? But when you got older, right, I guess some of them have got worn down, right? So they didn't have the lubrication and to be sometimes elastic, right? And the only thing that's compatible, because every engine, every different type of machine part has different oil. I've worked in a machine shop before, and there's so many different oils and lubricants that it blows your mind, right? They don't just use the same lubricant for just everything, right? You put dish soap in the in the clothes washing machine and it bubbles over, right? They were taking the people's own fat back. They were taking people's own back fat because it's compatible. And it's so simple. Like, developmental science is so ignorant, they will tell you that they're going off on a mission to find themselves or something like that. But they know the cure is in your own back fat, and you can find it by just reaching around and grabbing your own ass, and then you found yourself. You know what I mean? It was just the delivery system for the payload, which had to be worked out to the least intrusive way, but they stopped as soon as they found something unassuming and innocent as a cigarette wrapped in a white piece of paper that just looked like a straw, so you're just pulling it through the cigarette, and that's how you get it. You were getting it through a cigarette. Harmless, unassuming. What you can't even really come up with anything to say against cigarettes. They used to let you smoke in restaurants and airplanes and everything like this, right? On the bus, on trains. You've seen movies with people sitting on the bus, fucking smoking and shit. Like, yeah. But, okay, so back to the Alzheimer's, right? Those people like let's say Reagan, right? When they cured Reagan because he's so important and powerful, he's not powerful. He's not important. He's a puppet. You know what I'm saying? They don't as soon as their counterpart, it's like somebody on the planet would figure it out. Aliens don't even invade humans because even if their technology is superior, we might fuck around and find a way to keep them here, or to kill them, or to maybe possibly even keep them here. So use their technology against them, find a way to all the way to their planet, like they sunk the city of Dwarka, right? Because they found Vishnu's spacecraft hidden in the bushes somewhere. Like he was fighting Shiva, And then they got up in the spacecraft to do war with Shiva, and after, and that's why the gods let the principality, not principality, the gods let the province of Dwarka get destroyed, and they laughed the whole time. You know what I mean? And they loved the people and the citizens and everything, but it wasn't enough to for them to intervene and to want to stop them from being destroyed, because they just relate the whole story. They're just finding humor in all the folly. So yeah, because it's emasculation since turning against the paternalism and coming up with this new dynastic bullcrap. You know what I mean? It's like we're conflating an analogy with analysis. It's like everybody's tripping over the same stone. It's like everybody emasculated, but now find your balance. Or you can't. It's the thing about insanity. You can't expect different results from doing the same thing over. So yeah, that's the tripping over the stone thing. Everybody emasculated, right? Everybody fell into hysterics and pandemonium and hysterics from the fall of man, right? And it's into your humanity, you fell into humanity, and out of order with the mundane, right? And it's not the noise it's not the sound, because if you notice, like, if you go out into a field, like, you just hear, like, it's loud as hell, but it's not really harming your ears, because nature doesn't lie to you. If nature was lying, then you'd be in a noisy ass jungle going deaf. You know what I mean? You can't go deaf in there. You know what I mean? It actually could be peaceful and it's find serenity, and there's all that noise going on, crickets and everything. It's just to be like getting a headache, but nah. Because the crickets don't lie to you. Only artificial. Only, that's why Uncanny Valley scares people and shit. Because it's likeness of human, but not human, right? What I'm trying to get at? It was like something that was so clutch, but I can't get there. Because I'm trying to relate something about magic, but I can't. It's unenthralling. We actually use it to get lulls, and that's actually infotainment. But only because we're being mocked. Only because we're being mocked heavily is this even a thing, And we're being mocked by a highly sophisticated moron, like solve a DARPA issues, like solving DARPA problems or whatever, but on a level that's dumb as like a hammer or something, and you kind of it seems like it's too easy for individuals to become a pariah for some shit that didn't always be a problem. Like, they flipped the thesis on polarization for the emotional ability to stir people on an emotional level, and then use their cortisol spikes, like, like they're like, I can't tell you what they're trying to do because it's a high-tech assassination, because what it might it might just help them, to figure out, eventually building the case just to tell you that you're wrong. But how's that transpire? You know what I mean? There's the wages of sin is death. So to tell me I'm wrong, it can't ever be nothing good, right? Thing is, there is no wrong or right. Remember, the universe is out of balance in a cycle of consuming, and it's until it crescendos into the peak of like arrogance or something like that. You are here to see that. Then you go to the next level. You can't go to the next level until you've seen the peak of arrogance, to see that it is unfit to call us gods. I never even, it wasn't until they told me that your dad is not God that I even realized that it's unfit to call us gods. You know what I mean? Like, it's the Streisand effect, and the Elohim doesn't know what's coming down the path until the beast knows before the Elohim knows what's coming down on him, right? But you could still say that Elohim is a very powerful section of angels, right? Some people call them demons. Some people say, you don't know what Elohims are. Those are demonic. Yeah, but you'll tell me that the same thing that is demonic is also an aspect or some engaged prowess that is just used to sharpen your own intuition. That's just used to make yourself a better person in spite of the fact that people have lost touch with the basis of sacrifice, And it's maybe not their fault. It could be because of mass farming. You can't sacrifice cattle anymore because you have so many herd, like they're just a very dominated species, and it doesn't really hurt you anything to sacrifice them because you won't even miss it anymore. So you got to make up different things. You have to make up a new ritual to be able to sacrifice so that it can have meaning, right? I'm not saying that you should start doing like animal mutilation and shit like that. Because of the law of grace, you don't have to bleed the fatted calf. Dang, I didn't even know I knew that. It could be in the Lipotropics that I'm getting neuroplasticity right now. So I'm an advertisement for the cure for Alzheimer's that we already have. And yeah, why would you discontinue research that was getting results, dummy? Like, why the fuck would they go from that to experimenting on beagles and letting them get eaten by flies? If you know the definition of a pathology, and then you know that you can't extend it to study it more because the pathology escapes the control parameters and gets into the staff. It's the staff now. You know what happened, right? The Stanford experiment. Some aspect of that has taken into the collective conscious, right? It's like a lot of things have. All this time we're being overridden by symbolism, overridden to the extent that if you don't have a background in advertising, then you can't see how it interacts with your DNA. At some point in time, it's going to come down to genealogy. And those symbols are taken from the collective conscious archetypal energy of those ancestors and used in all of our commercial marketing back to us, to market something back to us, to get it to sit in nestled in your psyche. Like they use the crafted astral plane sigils, right? The pre-Columbian sigils that come back to you. Sometimes if you take salvia, right? Remember, Terence McKenna. I mean, a lot of people think he's Luciferian and everything. Maybe he is. Maybe he's in hell. I don't know. Like, nobody knows if they're going to heaven. It was just on that Sergeant Pepper's reunion that they were going on about how horny they are, and they're so excited that they're gonna die and they think that they're going to heaven or something like that. It's like, enough already. That try to extend, don't it's not necessarily your time when you die, you know what I mean? Maybe try to extend it. It's just that only if that's what you're trying to do. If you're not trying to be about all that health conscious stuff, then don't. If you're not trying to be about the conscious community and everything like that, then you can fuck a white girl. Have her sucking your dick and all that shit. And it won't be confliction. It won't be conflicted as long as you're not talking about what pertains to like consciousness of like a community that is black, right? Because like nobody's black. It says they might be possessed by the spirit of white or black, and it doesn't even matter on that level. It's that you take one side to be able to understand where they're coming from. So because one thing means more or the other to them, that it wouldn't come off right if you told them you're possessed by the spirit of white, because they would be like, what are you talking about? I'm black. You know what I mean? But see, you're not, you know what I'm saying? You're not getting what I'm saying. Like, if you were white, you would be possessed by the spirit of black. And then they would be like, oh, come on now. About we ain't down with those joggers. You know what I mean? They would come up with the new version or something on time. You're right. But we pushed them there, though, by looking at the pathology. You try to look at the pathology, you know what I mean? It's advancing it's advancing the eschatology and brinkmanship on the time release, of the heat or whatever from the neutron bomb or whatever. Like that nuclear blast, there's a chain reaction. It has to get set up, the chain reaction for it, but it has a component that is an atomic primate. Atomic monkeys plays a part or a factor in the psyche, and everything plays a factor. That bomb don't go off until everybody's ready for peace. When you accept the peace, remember, like Ram Dass, when everybody says, okay, like, okay, like, that epiphany and shit. Then the power brokers will set that motherfucker off, right? You could feel it. I'm not saying, when this happens, you'll see that I was like trying a light or something. Why can't I be a light now? Why does it have to happen, right? After the fact, you're dead. After this is over, you got radiation poisoning, you're throwing up, your skin's peeling off. What fucking good is it then? But, I mean, that the only reason there was a meltdown in Chernobyl was because of how many times people got used to saying not good, not terrible. It became so acceptable that to say not good, not terrible, that's what you want to hear, then that's why the fucking place melted down. And, you know, power brokers wait to the last minute to do any upkeep or, you know what I mean? They let bridges fall, collapse, and they let shit, you know what I mean? But that's control parameters that we set for ourselves, where we got comfortable with, right? So magic's not enthralling, right? It's got cracked off by repetition. Like it had to be, because there's no lie. In order to effectively, they wanted to effectively lie to us, but there was no such thing as a lie, really, as far as, you know what I mean? So they had to hit up the repetition to desensitize you and wear you down to a point where you're not ready to receive the truth. You know, they say the truth takes so long to put on its shoes. It's because the lie was made out of the truth and omission, right? And so the magic we have to use on them is lulz. Sorry, our lulz is our infotainment. Their lulz is our infotainment. Just face up to it. You know what I mean? Don't feel ashamed. Don't have any scruples. Because then you wouldn't be able to troll. And if you can't troll, everybody has to suffer. I'll be perfectly honest, right? When I was a youth, and I was playing with BB guns and I shot a squirrel, right? And because it took that squirrel so long to die, and he wasn't having any fun, you know what I mean? He didn't want to be a playmate, you know what I mean? You would think that would change your mind, but you're not ready. You know, the squirrel didn't want to play with you, so nobody can have any birds for like 2 years and shit. They're picking them up out the backyard, off the fence. Nobody can have any birds. Like, that's the monster soul, right? And you have to nip it in it's antisocial behavior, like to the extreme, right? You could become a serial killer or something like that. You have to stop that shit. And that's how it was when I was a kid. But a lot of us were like fucked up like that. There was little kids fucking put popcorn on the end of fish hooks and catching the squirrels on the end of a fishing pole and watch them bounce off the end of that motherfucking fishing rod. Like, it was funny. It was funny. I don't know, today, that little kid, I don't know. It's a different world. That's animal cruelty, and it is animal cruelty. But I don't know, maybe they got smarter kids today. Maybe these kids are crystal generation or something like that. You know, they have the indigo and shit.